Hello YouTube. Fishermen during fishing periods in the South China Sea from time to time meet or encounter a mysterious creature, the reality of which official science is not ready to believe. Well, the locals call it Kon Rit. Judging by numerous reports, this creature is blind and is guided by splashes of water. Hearing them or feeling the vibrations, the creature moves rapidly towards their source with sharp jerks. It has huge fins that help the creature to move easily in the water. It is known that the Kon Rit is very fast and aggressive, attacking marine animals and ships that dare to come too close. Yes, Kon Rit is very aggressive, and I'm basing my information on the Russian sources and reports. So I'm assuming that they had encountered this creature as well, because they have had numerous voyages, so to say, from the Soviet Union to Vietnam, and even in the area as well. And South China Sea is becoming a very hot place nowadays, prone to confrontations. So there'll be more sightings, I'm sure. If you believe the Vietnamese, then every year about a couple dozen people die from this attacks from this creature, and another 101.5 remain crippled. This animal is a 9 to 15 meter in length worm, as it's described, with many fins, which are equipped with the sharpest spikes. This unique marine animal is usually quite large, again from 9 to 15 meters in length, with a relatively thin neck. Its body is segmented and has projections, plates or fins on the sides. Kon Rit usually releases kind of water vapor from its nose or mouth area. This visible breathing is one of the features of this type of sea snake. In addition, or sea serpent, the sea monster actively uses a mouth with sharp, strong teeth. It is noteworthy that the creature's teeth are represented by a kind of beak, like those of squids or octopuses. According to some reports, the Kon Rit is capable of releasing jets of hot water, practically boiling water. It is because of this that those surfers who find themselves next to a killer worm most often suffer. Some researchers believe in the existence of such a creature in the South China Sea. The first mention of a huge predatory worm appears in the 17th century. The first person to encounter the Kon Rit was the fisherman Wu Li. He was fishing, and there was a 4 meter, in some sources the description is 6 meter, worm in his nets. Once in the net, the animal began to spray boiling water in all directions and squirm until it broke the trap and escaped back into the waters. In 1990, allegedly, Kon Rit attacked representatives of the Coast Guard of Vietnam. They tried to rescue 4 men whose boat gave a hole, or developed a hole, and began to sink. When rescuers arrived at the scene of the tragedy, they saw a terrible picture. 3 people were literally tormented by 2 worms. When trying to recapture the bodies of the dead and also one survivor, the animals showed aggression and poured boiling water on the hands and face of one of the rescuers. Similar stories have been known in Vietnam since the ancient times. European cryptozoologists have studied this issue and even tried to catch the creature in order to better identify it. After all, for a worm, it had too much arsenal. Teeth in the form of a beak, a hole for a shot with boiling water, spikes on the fins. All this indicates that Kon Rit is most likely at least a mollusk or maybe a fancy fish. At the beginning of the 19th century, researchers were confident in the existence of Kon Rit and even ranked it among cetacean creatures. Of course, this step of scientists that they made was most likely erroneous, but who this creature is, it's an open question. There is an assumption that it may turn out to be a fossil, organism that is not extinct. Similar ancient animals were found in the seas about 450 to 80 million years ago. If it is more or less clear with terrestrial creatures that dinosaurs have become extinct, then a variety of species could survive to this day in their original form in the seas and oceans. I also address it in my book, Russia's USO Secrets, particularly when they try to explain the so-called quackery phenomenon by an extinct creature. Anyway, Kon Rit is perceived by an academic science as a representative of folklore, but many facts suggest that it is quite a real representative of marine fauna. Zoologist Bernard Ivelsman called this type multi-finned and noted that its numerous lateral fins and segmented, articulated shell of bony or leathery plaques were common among archaic whales. Due to the movement of the animal, these triangular fins can create the appearance of a massive jagged crest when the cryptid swims on its side. Well, Bernard Ivelsman, he was a Belgian zoologist, cryptozoologist, I believe, noted that this type is found only in the zone of tropical and subtropical waters around the world. A close study of the observations of this creature apparently demonstrates a limited range from South Asia to Arabia, from 15 degrees north to 15 degrees south to Madagascar, and only a few observations have come from outside the specified range. Documented sightings have been reported from the South China Sea off the coast of Indochina to the area east of the Gulf of Aden. Reports from the south of Madagascar and observations in the Mediterranean Sea indicate that the distribution of this species is limited in warmer marine areas. The first modern discussion of these animals was given in the 16th century work L'Histoire entière des Poissons, written by the father of ichthyology Guillaume Rondelet. What he called cetacean centipede had many legs or fins with which the animal moved. This cetacean, which was often seen in India, was first described by Elian in the Treatise on the Nature of Animals as a large sea centipede. Elian said that this animal sometimes washed ashore, and witnesses described a lobster-like tail and hair on large nostrils. Although sightings of the great sea centipede are concentrated in the South China Sea, reports from other parts of the world give hints of an earlier and wider distribution of this species, but most of the sightings of the great sea centipede are associated with Indochina, and there are reports from 1890s to the early 1900s, when French ships plied the waters of the South China Sea. In 1883, a record was made of the beaching of one of these animals. Observations of sea creatures with many fins occurred off the coast of Indochina in 1893, 1896, 1898, 1902, 1903, 1904, and 1908. Observations near Somalia took place in 1923 and 1928, and near Madagascar in 1926. In 1920s, the director of the Oceanography and Fisheries Service of Indochina, Krempf, considered these animals to be real. According to Ivelsman, this Vietnamese cryptid became the prototype of the eastern sea dragon. Later sightings are rare, but one report of a sea snake spotted by Chinese students around 1968 near Hong Kong suggests the modern existence of this species. Leathery plates were an evolutionary adaptation to the aquatic environment, as they are found in some groups of fish, including ancient placiderm fish and modern sturgeons, seahorses, and some catfish. Even the coelacanth, like the 65 million years ago, has a kind of leathery plates. That's the name of the fish. Very unusual looking fish. The body covered with an exoskeleton of horny epidermal scales with bony or leathery plates is characteristic of most reptiles, alligators, turtles, snakes. But did ancient whales have leathery plates? Convergent evolution may have led to the appearance of some ancient whales with armored skin. Bernard Eilmans, of course, also thought so. That's why he named this animal and its relatives Cetacean centipede eliana, linking it with ancient whales. One of these primitive extinct whales, or zeuglodons, which according to Bernard Eilmans could have evolved into a form with leathery plates, was Bacillusaurus, an ancient whale of the Eocene epoch that lived 50 million years ago. This snake-like whale was about 20 meters in length, rudimentary hind legs, and a reduced pelvis. Bernard Eilmans noted that several skin shields were found in one fossil Paleosaurus, and some amorphous rounded plates were found in a fossil of a squalodont. It was a primitive toothed whale. Both findings have been interpreted as evidence that primitive cetaceans were armored. However, in 2002, British paleontologist Darren Nash reported that the shields of Bacillusaurus turned out to belong to a leather-backed turtle, and the plates of the squalodont were either fossilized wood or unidentifiable. Thus, in cetaceans, modern or extinct, there is no evidence of the presence of armored shields. Due to the lack of precedents, the rarity of reliable observations, and the limited range, most cryptozoologists today believe that the great sea centipede is one of the least likely existing species of sea serpents. Of course, there's another hypothesis or option. The side plates may not be fins at all, but just ribs. Cryptozoologists even offer an additional function for these lateral ribs: heat dissipation. A large marine centipede, if it really exists, apparently lives in a fairly warm waters and may have adapted to high temperatures, and these side ribs help to cool the body. There's another very interesting hypothesis. Kon Rit is a giant isopod. This is plausible to some researchers. Isopods have conquered almost all environments on Earth, and in the middle zone of sea depths deeper than fish or shellfish can withstand, they're the main macroorganism. Kon Rit is a giant elongated isopod that lives in the deepest depth of the ocean. Only very rarely does someone come to the surface. Isopoda is an order of crustaceans that includes woodlice and their relatives. Isopods live in the sea, in fresh water, or on land. All have rigid, segmented exoskeletons, 2 pairs of antennae, 7 pairs of jointed limbs on the thorax, and 5 pairs of branching appendages on the abdomen that are used in respiration. Females brood their young in pouch under their thorax. So we don't know if this creature exists for sure. I tend to believe it does. There are so many reports. I'm sure there are more out there we just don't know about. I mean, the military keep their own record of such encounters, and understanding how full the South China Sea now of different navies, I'm sure something is being spotted. We've heard other reports of strange encounters and events recently in South China Sea. So keep your eyes open. I don't suggest you do any surfing without preparations in those waters. And I'm sure we'll find out more. It's a fascinating part of the world. And the whole Far East region, I concentrate my research mainly on Russian waters and Russian Far East. But do understand that Vietnam has had a very interesting relationship with the Soviet Union, and there is more from the days of the Vietnam War pertaining to paranormal phenomena, actually, that I would like to tell you. So stay tuned. If you like my research, please support me through the links you will find in the description to this video. And I have a lot more about the so-called sea serpents in my channel. You can find it. Look at the playlists. There's a lot about cryptozoology and the sea serpents in the various waters of our planet's oceans. Thank you.